I hope y'all having a happy Friday. As y'all can tell, I like my 2014 hoodie. It's the only hoodie I got from when I graduated. So yes, I graduated 11 years ago. Don't do that. Mind your business. Anywho, hey, it's your host, the most irritating Nicole, back in again with another episode for y'all. I'm sorry I'm being loud, but I got to, cause y'all not hearing me. I don't know what's going on, and why y'all not tuning in. Y'all were. What did I do? Did I do something wrong? Did I do something wrong? Tell me if I did something wrong. If I put too much stuff out there on y'all, I don't know what's going on. But I would like for y'all to tune in. Let me hook it up. Let me hook it up. There we go. How y'all doing? Before we start the show, how are y'all doing? Huh? Y'all doing all right? Hopefully y'all guys seen the trailer for Anguished. The show comes out next week. And just a heads up, because I wasn't so sure how I wanted to do it at first, but the show's going to be about, I think it's 8 episodes. They're like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes a piece. And the reason why I did it that way. Anyway, sorry about that. Some asshole with a motorcycle was going by revving his motorcycle, so I had to pause the show. But anyway, what I was saying was, next week is the official drop date of the new series. It's going to be roughly 2.5 minutes per episode. It's going to be about roughly 8 to 9 episodes a piece. However, if you want to watch the full 18-minute video, because I condensed it, it was a half hour, but I condensed a lot of it down and removed some things, so it wouldn't be as long. If you want to see the full actual mini series season 1, you can actually go watch the entire series on Patreon underneath the VIP membership. Also, there'll be like exclusive content such as rehearsal footage, behind the scenes footage, just random videos that we did at that point where we was shooting the show. Hopefully season 2 will be a little bit longer. I'm thinking it may be. It's hard to say because right now I'm still in between trying to figure out what I want to do production wise because I'm shooting and editing all this stuff myself. So, but yes, there's a season 2 and season 3 already written. They just have to be shot. There's also why Anguish, after season 1 of Anguish goes off, there will be another series that comes in between why Anguish is taking this hiatus. You know how most things do. They do like a season finale and then there's something else that comes on after. That's what I'm doing. If you guys fall in love with season 1, and then you'll probably fall in love with season 2, and you'll probably fall in love with season 3. But the sad part is after season 3, there's no more Anguished. I'll maybe write something different for you guys, but it's only 3 seasons of Anguish. Unless y'all ask for season 4. If you ask for season 4, I'll bring you a season 4. That's my promise. No finger crossing on fingers crossed, and I said not me saying no, fingers crossed. So yeah. Also, by the end of this month, you'll get to see all parts of what happened to Central Park. Part 2 is out already, so if you haven't seen part 1 or part 2, go ahead. And I believe at the end of this video, it may populate the link for you guys to go watch that. But yeah, go watch those, get caught up. Also, like I said, go watch the trailer. It's already out. But yeah, that's a little bit of catch up for you guys before we dive into the real deal of what Fridays are all about. Fridays are all about movies. Sooner or later, I may take a break from talking about movies and jump into talking about TV shows. Like, I think when I hit my 60 episode mark with movies, I might pause the season for movie telling, and I might pick up and start talking about TV shows every Friday. And then once I hit like 60 episodes of that, I'll pause that and then go back to doing movies. You guys tell me what you think. Tell me what you think and what you guys want and what you guys would love to see. Also, please remember you can still put recommendations in the description. I mean, not description, in the comment section for me. Also, the show is broken down into segments, so you can actually skip segments if you don't want to hear about the entire movie, but maybe the intro, maybe the concluding, maybe the resolution, maybe just the notes section. Or if you just solely want to hear about what happened in the movie, you can now do that. This last few episodes I've done have all had segment breakdowns put in them. I'm working on trying to get all the other movies caught up that way. But because I did a revamp in the beginning of the year, not all of the episodes are the same as these last few have been. But without further ado, once again, it's your host with the most, real Taylor Nicole, back at it again with another video for y'all. Today is episode 34. Movie we're dealing with is Lakeview Terrace. Running time for this movie is about 1 hour and 50 minutes long. The release date was 9/18 of 2008, and the director of this film is Neil LaBute, and the producers of this film was Will Smith and James Lasseter. You can watch this film on Amazon Prime, YouTube TV. Pardon me, that was gross. Let me do it again. You can watch this movie on Amazon Prime, YouTube TV, Apple TV, Google Play and Movies, and I believe iTunes has a movie rental department you can watch it on. I've never watched movies on iTunes Movies, but yeah, that's the places you can watch this film on. Once again, you can watch this on Amazon Prime, Apple TV, YouTube TV, Google Play and Movies and TV, and iTunes Movies rental, I think is what it's called. Now, of course, let's get into the cast. This was a star-studded cast, in my opinion. A lot of the movies I've done have had star-studded cast, in my opinion. Starting out, we got and I'm giving them as appearance of how they are populated in the movie. It may be off just a little bit, but I'm just giving based on appearance how they were seen in the movie. Starting off, we got Samuel Jackson as Abel Turner, Kerry Washington as Lisa Matson, Patrick Wilson as Chris Matson, and Regina Nye as Celia Turner, and Jayshawn Fisher as Marcus Turner, and then Ron Glass as Harold Prior. I think I said that correctly. And of course, there's more people I want to mention throughout this the note taken up here as I do the note as I go through the recap of the movie. Now, before I proceed, once again, like I always like to do, I like to shout out to everybody who's been tuning in and keeping up with your girl. I really appreciate the love and support. If there's anything you guys would like for me to do in the beginning of the pod, feel free to put it in the comment section, whether you want me to give you guys like hidden facts, hidden gems, or if you want me to just talk about daily life and things that's going on. Drop it in the comment section, and what I'll do is the next episode I bring out, I'll talk about whatever you put in the comment section. So feel free to talk to me in those comments. I talk back. But without further ado, once again, thank everybody for tuning in. If you made it this far, click that thumbs up button and share this with your friends and loved ones. Now, let's jump into hearing a friend tell another friend to tell another friend to tell a friend about a movie that I watched. Once again, we're talking about Lakeview Terrace. Now, the movie opens up with Abel waking up from sleep, getting his kids up for school and getting them ready for breakfast and everything. And he's having like a normal father-daughter, father-son banter with his kids. He's a single dad. His wife unfortunately died. His son comes to the breakfast table wearing a Kobe Bryant jersey, and Abel's like, take that off. We talked about this. You're going over to Shaq, buddy. We don't support Kobe here. Now, if you know about that year, you kind of have an idea as to why they put that in the film, because this movie is based out of California. And knowing the character that Abel is kind of explained why he might have felt some type of way about Kobe's jersey. But watch the movie and you'll kind of get an idea, because the kids didn't understand. But as an adult, you understand. Hell, even as a kid back then, I understood why he didn't want him to wear the Kobe jersey. It was wrong, but it is what it is. Which R.I.P. Kobe. So, after he makes his son go change his jersey, I'm just giving you a little backstory so you can kind of get an idea what kind of man Abel is. He also chastises his daughter for wearing her AirPods, or not. See, look, I'm thinking of her her headphones, her Apple headphones to her Nano iPod, I think is what she had. She's got the headphones and listening to music at the breakfast table. He tells her to take them out. He's very strict and meticulous on what he wants from his kids. They have to speak proper grammar when they talk to him. They can't say words like ain't, can't, and stuff like that. Like they got to talk very proper when they talk to him and use precise and particular vocabulary that suits what he likes. Well, she talks back to him. He takes her music player from her and tells her she can get it back or whenever or I think he said she can get it back or he was gonna throw it away, something like that he said to her. But anyway, as the kids leave for school, they witness their new neighbors, Lisa and Chris Matson, coming in. Now they're going off to school, blah blah blah. Now Abel's still at home, watering the plants, watering his grass and everything like that. And he notices Lisa comes in with her father, Harold, but he thinks Harold is her man, right? So he being nosy, he's soaking it up. Ain't got no problem with Lisa being with an old guy, an old black guy that is. I mean, yeah, it was a little disturbed to him to see a young chick with an old guy, but she was black, he was black, thought nothing of it. He gets a visit from his realtor that helped him with the house or what have you, and they're talking about moving, people moving in, blah blah blah. And Abel mentions to homeboy that he's gonna go introduce himself to Lisa and Harold, who he thinks is Lisa's man, when the movers leave, because he thinks Chris is a mover because Chris is moving all the stuff out of the U-Haul by himself, right? So as he's still being nosy, he starts to notice a little bit more. He notices, Harold walks off and he takes a phone call. Chris comes over to Lisa. He's getting all real close and cozy. So he's thinking, oh, they creeping behind this man's back. And it instantly ignites his fire. Now he mad because it's something that happened in his past. Now he mad about what he sees, right? So he starts to realize that Harold is actually Lisa's father and Chris is actually Lisa's man. So now he 38 hot. But like I said, still being nosy when he should have been minding his business. Well, the next day, Chris ends up leaving for work and he realizes that Abel left a parking ticket, but it really was just a note to tell him to park his truck all the way in his driveway and not leaving it hanging out on the street. Lisa thinks it's a friendly gesture, doesn't think any of it, but Chris is like, hell no, buddy up to something. Well, they realize it was Abel because when Abel leaves for work, he shoots him to have a good day, 2-piece in the combo. Chris leaves off, goes to work. So does Abel. Abel pulls up on his little snitch, Clarence, who was played by Keith, I think it's Lonker. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He a little snitch. He gives Abel information about the stuff that's happening in the streets that Abel might not know about, right? Or giving him tips about stuff that they trying to crack the case on. And their little relationship is important. Keep that in mind. That Abel knows a guy named Clarence who's a drug dealer / thug / robber. He knows this man, right? And before Abel lets Clarence go, he tells Clarence to leave them little girls alone because that's just what they are, little girls. And Clarence tried to get slick mouth with him, but Abel like, I will beat your ass. Don't play with me. I said they little girls. Leave it be. So now Abel has this thing about women being treated funny, women not being treated right, especially, when you're messing with somebody's girl, or somebody's little girl, whatever the case may be. So, especially black women. He doesn't have a hatred for black women. He loves black women, despite of what he thinks happened in his life. He got a lot of love for black women. Anyway, so Abel finally introduced himself to Chris when Chris comes home from work, but he scares the shit out of Chris. It was rude and scary, to be real. He knocks on the window and pretends to be a robber and spooks shit out of Chris, introduces himself to Chris, learns a little bit about Chris. They talk about blah, 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 blah. He finds out that Chris ain't supposed to be smoking cigarettes because Lisa don't like it, but he smokes a few before he gets, home and, covers it, masks it up. But the problem was that there were cigarette butts in Abel's yard. That's kind of what sparked that conversation because he noticed the cigarette butts. Well, he don't say nothing right off to Chris about the cigarette butts. Chris gets out, flicks a cigarette butt in Abel's yard again. Now, uh, Chris comes home, talks to Lisa about his day, blah, blah, blah. They end up having grown people time in the pool. The kids saw it, and so did Abel. But Abel only saw it because his kids was upstairs fighting near the window they was looking out of, and he spots it instantly. Now he double mad. Oh, now he double mad. Yeah, interracial relationship. You flicking cigarette butts in on my property, and then you got the nerve to be fornicating in your pool where my kids can see? No, ma'am, no ham, no turkey. So you find out Lisa and Chris have marital issues because Chris got this thing where he feel like that he gotta prove himself to black people that he's worthy of being with a black woman. And Lisa feels like she gotta prove that she's black because even though she's with a white man. So they both got this inner thing. But the only problem is Lisa doesn't let what she feel like she got an internal problem with affect how she treats Chris. Chris allows what he got an internal problem with to affect how he treats her sometimes. But anyway, so Lisa wants to have a baby. Chris don't want to have one. He claimed, to me, it's not even men that have this problem. It's people who have this problem. One person is ready for something and the other person is not. And y'all discuss this and they agree upon it. But then when the time comes for it, you try to backtrack on it. And that's what Chris did. They got married. She was on the impression when they moved into the new home because of the conversation they apparently had that they could have a baby. Now he don't want to have a baby. He want to make sure everything goes as planned. Typical bullshit, if you ask me. But anyway, so it's a few things going on. Abel's got these security lights that beam straight into their bedroom that they got a problem with. Then also their heat ain't working. I mean, the AC ain't working because they go outside and notice that the AC vent the wire been cut and the screws have been all unloosed and whatnot. Well, when Lisa asks Chris, "What is this?" he picks up a screw, a cigarette that has a screw in it, and Chris knows Abel did it because Chris was smoking cigarettes. But remember, Lisa don't know he's still smoking cigarettes because of what he do every time he come home. He pop a Tic Tac, put hand sanitizer on so he can mask the smell, which I don't know how that masks the smell. But Abel took his cigarette butt that he found in there and he put it over there. Basically, that's a warning. Like, don't do that shit again. It wasn't childish to mess with the AC. Yes, it very much so was very childish to do such a thing. Because you could have easily just put that on top of his car or somewhere where he would have noticed it. Not cutting with the AC. It don't say Abel did it, but you ain't dumb. You know Abel did it. Anyway, so Chris tries to go talk to Abel about the lights, about, just his concerns. And for real, Abel just basically dashed that shit to the side and was like, boy, get the fuck out of my face. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. And was just throwing shade, but also throwing subliminals at Chris too, because he felt some type of way. You're fornicating in your pool where my kids can see. You keep flicking your cigarette butts on my property, and then you just not being neighborly. Which realistically, when they moved in, they weren't being neighborly. They weren't being neighborly. They were being loud, giggling, fornicating in the pool all hours of the night, and then just not being disrespectful, flicking cigarette butts in somebody's property. Like, come on, bro. You are to me. Chris started off not being neighborly. Yeah, Abel might have scared the shit out of him the first time they interacted with each other, but he didn't do nothing unneighborly to your property. But anyway, so when Chris tried to talk to Abel, like I said, it went sideways because Abel wasn't here for none of what he had to say. In so many ways, Abel basically let Chris know, don't come to my property trying to check me about shit. Like, I get the lights might be annoying. Okay, understandable. So, Celia kicked the ball over in Chris and them's yard and it landed in their pool. And they go over there, talk to Lisa. Lisa pretty much welcomes them to come and swim over there at the pool whenever their dad says it's okay. And Celia's like, my daddy ain't gonna be cool with that. She invites them to the housewarming party. Now, Abel shows up, but the kids don't. He tells, and Lisa's like, "Where the kids?" And he's like, "Oh, they couldn't make it." In other words, Abel wouldn't let them come over there. So they have, a housewarming party. Abel's there, a bunch of their friends are there. One of their friends, though, makes a racist ass comment to Chris about how Chris hit the jackpot. He got him a nice black woman in a nice black neighborhood, or just, like, well, not black neighborhood, but in a nice neighborhood. Real disrespectful. They ain't gonna say he been trying to climb his way up to being with a black girl. Threw me off, y'all. Pissed me off. But anyway, I think Abel sensed something was off about them group of people they was there with, because he just interjected himself into their little meetings and their little chats, and they was talking and whatever. And the same dude that made the comment to Chris made another comment about how, because they was talking about the wildfires in California and also about just global warming. And the racist dude gonna say, well, it's hot in Africa. Everybody looked at him like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? You know? So they start having this banter back and forth, and then that racist dude and some Asian chick was having a little side conversation, but Abel caught it and heard them basically talking shit about cops, because they found out Abel was a cop. And he basically asked him, what's wrong with cops? And she just talking about how they got bad attitudes and they're this, they're that, they're this, that. And Abel got offended, so he checked her ass in a nice, nasty way. But he basically told her, next time you're getting mugged, we'll send the nice police. And hopefully they get there in time before it's too late. Right? And he leaves. Abel, the whole time they was out there having a conversation, he was pretty much what they call it, janking the chain, fucking with people, basically. That's what he was out there doing. But before Abel left, he snitched on Chris about the cigarette situation. But basically, he said the cigarette butts. Somebody asked him about how does it like living next to Chris and Lisa or something like that, and Abel basically was like, "Oh, it's cool. Besides the cigarette butts to keep getting flicked in my yard from this guy over here hiding them from his wife." And Abel knew what he was doing, and Chris was like, "Wow, cool." So when Abel was leaving, Chris caught himself trying to check him about that, and now he just started a little war. Because Chris come trying to check Abel, and Abel ain't having it. Like, who the fuck you think you checking, white boy? That's basically what Abel was thinking. And Chris tells Abel to stay the fuck out their life and stay out their marriage and mind his motherfucking business, basically. And Abel like, okay, whatever you say. Like, Abel like, yeah, you be fucking with the wrong one. So later that night, Abel starts making their life a living hell at this point. Because later that night, Abel snuck in. Either Abel did it or he had somebody do it. But they broke in and slashed the tires of his Prius. Now, it never shows Abel doing it. But Abel either did it or had it done. And they call the police, tell the police what happened. The police is no help, basically. They try to tell them you should be so lucky you got a cop living next door and blah, blah, this and blah, blah, blah. They ain't happy with the service. And before Abel goes in the house, he picks up a cigarette butt off the ground. And he holds it up and he shakes his head and keeps on walking. And Lisa tells Chris, get an ashtray next time. In other words, Lisa was blaming Chris for what happened to his Prius, because she's like, if he did slash your fucking tires, it's because of these damn cigarette butts you keep flicking in his damn yard. You know what I'm saying? So Chris like, damn, like, how do you even know that's my cigarette butt? But later the next day, they go have a sit down with her father, and her dad's asking all these questions, and Chris is answering all the questions, but her daddy is not paying Chris no mind. He's looking straight at his daughter, ignoring Chris like he's not there. And Chris like, yo, bro, if you're going to be talking to us, talk to us. Like, don't just keep talking to her. Include me in a conversation like I'm talking to you. So the daddy like, oh, you want to talk, motherfucker? So you want to start a family with my daughter at some point. How do you plan on protecting my daughter and my grandbaby? Because clearly you can't protect them. You coming to me for legal advice and help because you don't know what the hell you're doing. You know what I'm saying? And Chris get all frustrated, and instead of him handling that situation like a man, he gets all frustrated and gives an ignorant ass answer. I'm gonna go buy a gun, and then gets up and runs off like a man child, right? And Lisa goes home to find Chris putting up goddamn security lights on their property so that they can play the petty ass back and forth game with uh um Abel. Because like I said, Abel got these lights that flash into their bedroom, so now they got lights that flash into his bedroom. Well, at this point, Kristen activated Senior Petty in Abel. Abel is at work with his partner, Javier, who's played by Jay Hernandez, and they get a call about a domestic dispute, right? And the domestic dispute is called on on a guy named Damon Richards, who's played by Caleb Pinkett. And Damon's in there arguing with his wife. She acted like a damn madman. And when Javier and Abel go to address the situation, they try to calm him down. He shoots through the front door at Abel and Javier. Javier yells out, gun. And they move out the way. He shoots, they bust in, and Abel goes and chases after Damon. And Javier stays with the wife to try to calm them down and keep her from going anywhere. When Abel finally catches up with Damon, he does a little bit of excessive force with Damon, but rightfully so. Bitch, you shot at me. You could have killed me. And Abel kind of let him go. He did give him some tough love talk when he talked to him, but it was to me it was necessary because you in there beating on your wife in front of your newborn child. You just took a shot at a police officer. Had I been anyone else, I would have just killed you. Instead, I'm having this, heart to heart with you. Well, after that situation, Lisa's working and she notices Cecilia is in their pool. She hears her and she realizes she's in the pool. She goes and asks her, "Did you talk to your dad about coming over here? Because y'all not supposed to be over unless he say y'all can." And, they go have this conversation. She realized she didn't, whatever. Now, Lisa and Celia are having a girls talk. Girl talk about boys and, whatever the case may be. Well, Abel comes home and realizes that he hears what sounds to be his daughter at Lisa and Chris's house. And rightfully so, he goes over there and he checks that shit. And he tells, Lisa, my daughter ain't supposed to be over here. Now, the way he talked to Lisa was uncalled for, but I kind of get why he was upset because as an adult, if my child told you she didn't ask my permission to come over here, you should have sent her home. I guess she wanted to sit and talk with you, but you still should have sent my child home. You shouldn't have let her stay over here. Well, at this point, Abel pissed and he trying to prove a point because his daughter keep running her mouth. And he starts taking his clothes off, unbuttoning his shirt and took his pants and dropped his pants. And he's like, it's cool for her to parade around here in her underwear. But if I do it, I look like a fool, right? Y'all, it's double standards. No, you are a child. Stay in a child's place. You didn't ask my permission to come over here, and I'm your father. I care about who you're around and what you're learning and what you're doing. And I got that wholeheartedly. So she say some slick mouth stuff back to him. He slapped the shit out of her ass. I mean, he gave her the pimpest smack you could give anybody. He slapped the shit out of Celia and sent her packing. Lisa gets all in her feelings. You don't have a right to put your hands on her. See, that's where you're wrong, Lisa. You mind your business. You not her father. Okay? You not her mother. I get how people feel about people putting their hands on their kids, but at the end of the day, if it's not your baby, what can you do? Now, it's a difference between beating on a child, because you're not going to beat on no kid in front of me. We not doing that. He just popped her. Should he have slapped her? No. As a father, he shouldn't have slapped his daughter. Yes, she was popping off at the mouth, but he shouldn't have slapped her in her face. Maybe popped her on her ass. Popped her, you know what I'm saying? But he smacked her straight in her fucking face. That was out of line. So I got why Lisa was pissed, but I still would have minded my business because it's not like it's going to change anything. And then like he told her, what you going to do? Go call the police? You forget I am the police? Call them if you want to. Go ahead. Tell my parental rights, Miss Law Lady. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think I would have voiced in that scenario, considering his daughter was wrong and out of line for what she said and what she did. I don't think I would have been able to have, like in that moment, I don't think I would have spoke up and been like, hey, you keep your hands off your daughter like that. If anything, I would have waited till it calmed down and I would have went over and explained to him later, like, I understood your daughter was wrong, but I didn't appreciate you slapping her like that in front of me. You could have did that at home, but not in front of me. And the way Lisa tried to chastise him about him slapping Celia was also another thing that just was done in poor taste. Cause what you gonna do? That's a grown ass man. What if he slapped the shit out of you? You gonna call the police? He is the police. Who do you think they're gonna believe? Him or you? Let's keep it real. Anyway, moving forward. So after that encounter, Lisa's in the bath, and Lisa's in the kitchen throwing up in the sink. If you don't realize, it's because she's pregnant, right? She been talking about this baby shit, so clearly she must be pregnant. She's throwing up. And Chris comes home and finds out Lisa's pregnant, right? So they talk about... Oh, no. He didn't find out yet. Lisa and Chris actually talk about selling the home. And they have this little argument about selling the home and, doing it on their own terms. Because Chris feel like she only want to do it because her daddy said they should sell the home and start over and let him help them. And Chris is like, don't do that because your daddy wants us to do it. Is that because that's what you want to do? Well, Abel is so invested in this relationship crumbling, he's ecstatic to see them arguing. Oh, he's happy. They're over there arguing. He can't get enough of it. He loves their relationship crumbling. Abel's so happy the next morning, he still got a smile on his face from seeing them argue. And while the next morning, his kids get picked up by their Aunt Dory, who's played by Vanessa Bell Calloway. She comes to pick them up. They usually go on a 2-week vacation with her, right? And she even tells Abel she noticed something is different about him. Like he's not the same. He just don't seem like the same person. He tells her because I am different and I'm not the same, basically. And she like, cool. Well, Lisa at this point, Lisa and Chris do end up arguing about her being pregnant because she's in the bathroom sitting by the toilet with pregnancy tests. And this is how Chris finds out she's pregnant. And they argue about it. He tries to say, what are you trying to trap me? And, stupid shit that don't make sense. Like, y'all already married. What do you mean trap or trick? I know he said trick you. Trying to trick you. How can she trick you? Y'all already married. That don't even make sense. But anyway, so Abel goes to work and finds out he's in hot water for that Damon Richards situation because Damon pressed charges and filed a lawsuit against the department because he said that Abel was rough with him and bruised his ribs and pointed a gun at him. Rightfully so. You pointed a gun at me. Why would I not point one back at you? But the whole situation gets him put on suspension. Internal Affairs and his captain decide to put him on suspension. So now he's on suspension. What else can he do besides fuck with them? So as he's leaving work, he finds out one of his colleagues is getting married and they're doing a bachelor party. He tells him bring the bachelor party to his house. He's like, I can use a good lap dance and a good time. Rightfully so. So they throw the bachelor party at his house and Chris and Lisa are asleep, right? They hear the noise. So they hear Chris ain't really paying that shit no mind. He go run in the bathroom to go see how many pills she got left in her birth control. And he realizes that she just stopped taking them. It wasn't that she missed them. She just stopped taking her birth control pills, which she could have gotten pregnant even on the birth control. So little did he know, she could have still got pregnant. They not 100%. Well, at this point, he's so busy being nosy that she wakes up because she hears the party getting louder and louder. And she like, what the fuck? So she getting ready to go over there and go address the situation. Well, Chris, like, let me handle it. I got it. You go back upstairs. And he runs over there, tries to, get in. The Javier and one of the other dudes slam the door in his face. And then Chris walks around, comes through the back door. And at this point, Abel playing in Chris' face. He give him a shot of some type of tequila, maybe some cognac, something. He gave him a shot. Chris too busy trying to hurry up and leave and, get up out of there, that Abel makes the stripper start dancing on him while he's recording. See, don't nobody know that Abel was recording that situation. And they finally, Abel finally say let him up. Chris goes home. He's hotter than fish grease. But he's so mad, he takes it out on Lisa and gets to talking about somehow she didn't just forget to stop taking her. She didn't just forget her pill. She just stopped taking them completely, and basically lets her know that he was being nosy in her drawer. He found out she wasn't taking her birth control anymore. So they argue some more about that. And Lisa like, you know what? You, Chris, like real life. Oh, this was funny actually. I meant to bring this up. When Chris was over there trying to shut down their little bachelor party and the strippers was dancing all on him, when Chris got up, Abel said she got a nice pair on her, huh? Probably bigger than Lisa's, ain't it? Throwing shade at Lisa's little bitty old boobies. And Chris wanted to put hands on him so bad, but all the police in there, you was gonna get your ass beat. Um, but anyway, back to what was going on. So after they played in Chris' face, and Chris played in Lisa's face by trying to say she tricked him into getting her pregnant or whatever the case may be, he goes and gets some trees installed, some bushes installed for privacy reasons on on their fence. Well, they're hanging over on Abel's side of the property, so Abel cuts them down. The ones that's on his side, he cuts them down. Rightfully so, though. You got shit hanging over my property that you didn't even ask me if it was okay to just install, knowing it was gonna hang over on my property. So I'm cutting this shit down. So they get into a little arguing / shoving match with branches, the chainsaw, the rake, and all this other shit. And they so engulfed in their little manhood battle that Lisa's trying to tell Chris to stop and let it go, just leave it alone. And Chris so wrapped up in it, he turned around and he pushes Lisa like she ain't pregnant. And she snaps on him again and just runs off. I would have smacked shit out of Chris. I ain't gonna lie to you. The day he pushed me was the day he seen what real black looked like. Cause I would slapped the white off that man. He would have been red, pink, purple, and blue when I got done with him. Cause you ain't gonna push me, motherfucker. Cause you arguing with this son of a bitch. Like leave it be, But anyway, so shortly after that, after the little tree stunt thing, Chris goes to have a drink, and Abel randomly pulls up at the same bar he's at. And honorable mention real quick, the bartender Sandy was played by Coco Brown. I just felt like that was an honorable mention. I love my girl Coco Brown. But anyway, they're having a little drink or whatever, and Chris was getting ready to leave, but Abel made him stay. And Abel tells Chris, basically, my reason for the way I feel about interracial relationships, because when my wife was working as a caregiver for older people, instead of her being at her job wiping ass, she had a head-on collision accident with her boss in the car. Her and her boss, her white boss, were on an interstate, got into a head-on collision. She died, and so did he. But I asked myself, what was my wife doing with her boss when she's supposed to be at work? So in other words, Abel's letting Chris know my wife cheated on me with a white man, which is why I fucking hate you white people. Why I hate you white men. Because y'all just take, and don't care. This is what Abel's telling them, like, y'all feel like y'all can do whatever y'all want to, take whatever y'all want to, and suffer no consequences and no repercussions for it. So Abel was basically taking out his frustration, his anger of what his wife possibly did with another man out on Chris and Lisa, and really just Chris. Because he had no issue with Lisa. He just couldn't stand Chris. And after that conversation, now that we understand 100% what Abel's real issue is, now we can put together the real reason why he's being like he's being with Chris. And Lisa and Chris go to like this other neighbor's house party or whatever. Excuse me. And when Lisa and Chris go to this neighbor's house party thing, Abel shows up as well. While Abel is there, he has Clarence go to their house and break in and tear up their shit, destroy the fucking place basically. And Lisa is getting ready to go home, and Abel realizes that Lisa is leaving, and he's like, "Oh shit, this wasn't part of the plan." He don't want nothing to happen to Lisa. If it would have been Chris going home, he probably wouldn't have said nothing. But he hurried up, ran outside, called Clarence, and told Clarence that that the wife is coming back. You need to leave. And instead of Clarence's fat ass hurrying up and getting the fuck out of the house, he goes and he hides in a room. Lisa gets home, which I don't know how she made it down the street so goddamn. I mean, up the street so goddamn fast. But she ends up getting home. She's getting ready to go take a shower. And on Clarence's way out, he sees Lisa. And she's looking spooked. She do that Kerry Washington face she always do. This face right here. And yo, he, instead of him leaving, he bum rushes her. He's tossing her around like a damn rag doll. And it's not funny. I'm sorry, it's not funny. Abel realizes that Clarence never made it out the house. So now Clarence has to rush and run to Lisa and Chris's house to try to play Mr. Nice Guy. But really, he's trying to cover his own ass. And Chris and Abel run to the house. They get in the house. They check on Lisa. She's unconscious, or whatever the case may be. Well, Abel runs after Clarence. Clarence is out the door. Abel could have just let Clarence leave, but instead, Abel shoots Clarence, kills him, shoots him in a pool, takes him out. And I'm thinking like, damn, Abel, what are you doing? You could have just let Clarence leave. You could have told him. You could have just let him leave. Well, that happens. They take her to the hospital. Abel's trying to recover the phone from Clarence's body, but can't find the phone. And he has to let it go at this point. Well, while Chris and Lisa are at the hospital, Abel goes back over there again and tries to look for the phone again. While he's looking for the phone, they come home. Chris and Lisa come home, so now he has to hurry up, run back, and go back over to his house. Well, while he's over there, he's acting like he's wetting his house down, so don't nobody think nothing of it while he's still there, because their wildfires are spreading towards them, and he's wetting his house down so people don't think anything of it, or whatever the case may be. And Chris and Lisa are in the house. Well, they're packing up stuff, and as they're packing up stuff, Chris dropped something on the bed or did something, and the burglar's phone slides from underneath the bed. And Chris calls the missed calls. Because he opens the phone, he realizes this got missed calls. He calls the phone. And instead of Abel looking at the number, he answers and go, Abel Turner. And he looks down and realizes, shit, this is Clarence's phone. And Chris comes to the window with the phone like this. What I would have did was, I would have shut that fucking phone. I would have got me and my wife shit, and I would have got the fuck up out of there. I wouldn't even have gave Abel time to even realize that it was me that called. But instead, he goes over to the window, looking like a dumbass. Abel's like, now I gotta kill your ass, cause you not getting me arrested. So Abel pulls his gun out and heads on over to their house. Him and Chris have this little tussling match or whatever the case may be. And then basically at the end, when they get done tussling, Lisa, I think Chris gave Lisa the phone and some other stuff for her to try to hurry up and get away, to try to give it to the police. And Abel gets outside after knocking the shit out of Chris, and he shoots the car and makes her crash. Right now, you got Abel, Chris, and Lisa in this weird ass position because Chris knocks Abel down, gets to Lisa, and now you got the police coming up there because they hear gunshots. So they drive up the street to Chris and Lisa and Abel. Police is telling both of them, stand down. Chris starts playing a mind game with Abel, like Abel had been doing with him the entire movie. When Abel made that comment about how the stripper had nice boobies and they probably look better than Lisa's, it triggered something in Chris to think the same way that man played in my face about my wife, I'm about to do his ass the same way. So because Abel wouldn't tell the truth about having a gun, Chris started playing mind games with him and brought up his wife. And it pissed Abel off to the point where Abel pulled out his gun and got ready and shot Chris. And of course, inadvertently makes Abel get shot by the police. Even though he is the police and they know he's the police, because he shot Chris, they shot him. And watch the movie. Watch the movie to find out what happened to Abel, because I'm not going to say exactly what happened to Abel. Just know that they both got shot. Chris and Abel both got shot. Watch the movie to find out if somebody died or somebody lived. That's all I'm going to say. But that's the final recap of the movie. And one thing I didn't bring up that I thought was funny, let me step back a little bit. In the when Abel was at Lisa and Chris's housewarming party and their friends were there and they two friends was talking about the police and how they got an attitude problem, when Abel told her that, next time I'll send the nice police, to you, it made me think about when that one man was like, next time you need some assistance, I'm gonna play the commercial if I can find it. The next time you get in trouble, he said, "Call a crackhead." That's what I thought of instantly when when that scene popped up. If I can find the clip, I'm gonna play it for y'all. Just cause that scene that commercial cracked me up. Call a crackhead. But anyway, as y'all know, after we recap the movie, we jump into the notes. And in my notes, I want to just bring up a few key points. One, Abel was a good dad. He just had a funny way of being a good dad. Like, for example, the way he wanted his kids to be raised with respect of themselves and other people and dignity in class and proper grammar was nothing. There was nothing wrong with it. Honestly, the way he was with his kids, besides him slapping the shit out of his daughter like that, other than that, I didn't see nothing wrong with his parenting at all. Abel also, you can tell, is a jealous kind of man, because if he wasn't, his hatred and anger for their interracial marriage wouldn't have bothered him, regardless of the fact that he thinks his wife cheated on him with her boss. Shouldn't have affected him at all, but it did. I do respect Abel for wanting Lisa and Chris to respect the neighborhood and the growth of his children. Yes, his kids probably shouldn't have been looking out the window in a neighbor's yard, but let's be realistic. They kids. They're going to look. That's just what kids do. So I respected Abel for wanting Chris and Lisa to understand that it's things that you should do and at least have some respect when you know you got kids living next door to you. Y'all shouldn't be having sex in the pool when my kids live next door to y'all, and they can just randomly look outside and see y'all two fornicating in the pool. Not cool. So I respect everything that when it came down to his kids, I respected it wholeheartedly. Everything that came down to his property, I respected it, because y'all had no right to disrespect his property nor his kids in a sense, or contributed to them becoming uninnocent, if you will. To me, Chris was weak as fuck, because you waited until it got real bad to try to stand up to Abel. Like, in real time, you should have tried to nip that shit in the bud with Abel and let him know whatever his past problems is with interracial relationships is his problem. You want to wait till Abel's already pissed off from you doing dumb shit in the beginning. The flicking cigarettes, the having sex, all that stuff that you did in the beginning did not help your case with Abel. Had they not done none of that in the beginning and just simply had a conversation with Abel and he still acted that way, then I could see y'all spazzing out on his ass. But y'all gave him a reason to be the way he was being towards y'all, because look what y'all were doing. Come on now. He also weak as fuck, because for you to sit there and let your friend call your girl a jackpot, your wife the jackpot, and you didn't put his ass out, he would have been put out of my house so fast. You don't call my wife no damn jackpot. I would have put that man out of my house so fast, y'all. Anyway, I would have put that man at my house so fast. You're not gonna call my wife no fucking jackpot, bitch. Then, pardon my language. I've been cussing a lot this episode. I'm sorry, y'all. Um, oh, also too, another thing. This is another reason I was mad at Chris because you sat there and let that white boy say all that racist stuff in front of all them black people and didn't try to correct it or rectify it. To me, that's why I said Chris was weak. Also, Chris was just as much of a villain as Abel was. Chris should have respected the neighborhood like Abel should have respected Lisa and Chris's marriage. To me, they weren't respecting the neighborhood and they weren't picking up what Abel was laying down. Yeah, Abel went to the extreme to try to get them out of his neighborhood and try to ruin their marriage, but had you respected the neighborhood in the beginning, you probably wouldn't have gave him a real reason to start doing shit like that. Because I feel like y'all it broke the camel's you broke the camel's back when you thought you was going continuously to play these disrespectful games in this space. Like, yeah, Abel was being disrespectful too. They both were being very disrespectful, but they were both letting their manhood play these immature ass games, which led it to a violent ending. Um, to me, Chris's villain ways was the cigarette butts in Abel's yard, allowing people to disrespect his wife, hence the racist white dude talking about some she's a jackpot. The way he was too busy trying to prove he deserves a black woman. The disrespect that he showed Lisa when he found out she was pregnant, and throughout the entire movie, the way he treated his wife. Um, and like I said, the overall upset about your wife being pregnant. Why do you like? Why does that like? I don't know. That threw me. Um, like to say that she tried to trick you into getting her pregnant, like that pissed me off because that's your wife. It shouldn't be no terms of tricked you. Abel was a villain the entire film, hands down. His villainistic ways were triggered and he was protect. He was it not not protagonist. He was antagonized to continue being a villain, but he really didn't need no help because that motherfucker was a villain. His villain ways: the constant harassment of Lisa, and Chris. I put Abel in my notes. Lisa and Chris, the constant issues of them existing, the crazy strategies to get them out the neighborhood, um, the recording of the video of Chris with the strippers and giving it to Lisa was wild. Um, Sending Clarence to tear up their house was a bit extreme, and the security lights was definitely overboard. Definitely overboard. Lisa did have a few villainistic ways because she ain't off the hook. Because Lisa should have told her husband she was gonna stop taking the pills. That it's not necessarily saying that she's tricking her husband because she still could have got pregnant while on the pills. That it's not impossible to get pregnant while on the pills, but she still should have spoke up and said, "Hey, I stopped taking my pills just so you know," so that he can make his own decision on if he wants to use contraceptives of his own to prevent pregnancy. Now, if she would have told him and he still would have go raw dog skiggity, then hey, that's on you, my boy. Um, Also, she also had a little villainistic ways in her because she kept trying to make Chris feel guilty. Um, in their conversations that they had, they both was playing that race card. I don't think I think if people rewatch that movie and they realize Chris was playing a race card and so was Lisa. They both was playing a race card in this entire fucking movie. Um, Chris was so busy trying to prove his manhood that he didn't realize he was neglecting his wife, treating his wife like shit, and was just not being a good husband all the way around. Because honestly, when his wife left that party to go home because she wasn't feeling good, I don't give a damn. She said you could stay because you accepted the invitation. I would have been like, my wife isn't feeling well. I'm gonna go home and make sure she gets home safe. If he chose to go back, he chose to go back, but he should have went home with his wife to make sure she was fine because that probably would have never happened. Um, Abel's hatred for white folk, white men in particular, was excessive. Like he had an excessive hatred for white men with black women. And it wasn't like white men and just all white men. It's any white man with a black wife. And what was crazy is I don't think he knew Javier had a black wife. Because I think Javier had a black wife too. He probably would have hated that motherfucker too. But yeah, his hatred for any white man with a black woman was excessive. It was aggressive. I don't know why Abel just didn't tell Chris and Lisa that his second phone must have dropped out of his pocket when he came over to check on Lisa. That's what I would have just said. Like, hey, I'm missing my second phone. I think I might have dropped it out of my pocket when I came to check on, help you check on Lisa. That's what I would have said. Instead of snooping around their house trying to hurry up and find it. But when he heard it was ringing, I would have just ran upstairs and I'd have been like, while y'all were going, I thought I heard somebody else in your house. Something. Like, for him to be a cop, he couldn't think of no good lies. None. But that's all I would have did. Is I'd have been like, yo, man, I left my phone upstairs. I think, or somewhere in your house. I don't know where it went. I think when I was chasing after the burglar, I might have dropped my phone somewhere because I don't know where my second phone went. Something. Some kind of lie. I don't know why he shot Clarence either. Honestly, I would have just let Clarence go. It wasn't like Clarence was gonna tell nobody. And I mean, yeah, if the nigga saw her, if Elisa saw the dude's face, then that's one thing. But you don't know if she did or didn't. But also, for my last bit of my notes, Chris really should have just minded his damn business. I'm not sure why Chris didn't just mind his business with that cell phone situation, because I would have just minded my damn business. I'd have been like, hey, Abel, by the way, the burglar that broke in, I don't know if this is his phone or your phone, but here. I wouldn't even had even so much as picked up that phone and dialed the return number to see who was on the other line. That's too much curiosity, white folks. That's why y'all get killed. Y'all be too damn nosy. I ain't calling nobody. I ain't using nobody, no dead man phone to figure out who. I don't care that much. I would have been like, Abel, you the police, right? Here go this man's phone. Turn in the evidence for me, or should I go do it myself? I wouldn't even I'm not calling that phone. I ain't doing none of that. But also, Abel should have looked at that number before he answered that damn phone. Why wouldn't you think to look at your caller ID before you answer the phone? That was stupid. Just my opinion. But y'all know I gotta rate that film. And of course, I'm sorry. I love a good movie. And as long as I can find good in a movie, it's gonna get a good rating. I personally love Lakeview Terrace. It's one of my favorite police movies. So it's getting a 10 out of 10 off the rip. It's my favorite. And I might be biased because I love me some Samuel Jackson and some Kerry Washington. So I might be a little biased, maybe. But yeah, 10 out of 10. And mainly because this movie's so crazy, y'all. But it's so good. A person to be that aggressive and about an interracial relationship and to go that hard to try to tear interracial, like the lengths he went to try to tear down their relationship, their marriage, and end and get them out the neighborhood. Really, he didn't give a damn if they stay married. He just wanted them out the neighborhood. That's pretty much what it is. And to me, this movie was showing, you know how typically black folks, when we go out, I don't partake in interracial relationships, but typically when the black folks go out, especially in certain communities, when black folks go out with a white significant other, typically it's white folks that frown and turn up their nose and act all crazy and want to be disrespectful and rude and try to make them feel uncomfortable in that area. So for the movie to reverse it and show it from a black point of view, I think it kind of shows people what it feels like to be on the receiving end of that level of disgust and hatred from another party. Because that's basically what it was. Yes, he had motive to why he didn't like a white man with a black woman because of what he endured or what he believed he might have endured, but that didn't give him right to intervene in a marriage as much as he kept trying to. Um, hey, Sam played the hell out of that character, y'all. He played the hell out of every character he played, but he played the hell out of that character. It was almost so believable. You would think that's really how Sam was, how well he played that character. Um, Honestly, and to be real, like I said earlier, had both parties just minded their motherfucking business, the movie would have never ended the way it would. Yeah, they probably would have had some tit for tat, some riff for raff, or whatever the case may be, but it never would have ended the way it did had both parties just minded their motherfucking business. Real talk. Just mind your business. Um, the sad part about this movie has nothing to do with Lisa, Chris, or Abel. It's actually about the kids. Because when you watch the movie and you get to the end, you're going to realize that the kids are really the ones who are going to suffer. Like, real talk. It's going to be the kids that suffer, not Abel, not Lisa, not Chris. The kids are going to suffer. And by kids, I mean Abel's kids are going to suffer. Secretly, Abel was very miserable. He was unhappy. He had a lot of hatred for interracial relationships for sure, but he also despised mistreatment of women, especially black women. He didn't like interracial relationships. He definitely don't like disrespectful children, and hell, disrespectful adults for that matter. Like I said, the movie shows that if you learn to mind your business, especially when it's not directly or a need of interference, if you mind your business, you'll be just all right. You'll be fine. And sometimes taking the higher road beats going low. Now, not me, because I'm petty. Petty. I'm petty. Okay? When you go low, I do what? Go lower. Okay? I go lower. You dig me? And at some point I might grow up, but not today, baby. Yeah, learn to mind your business and sometimes learn to take the high road. That's what this movie was telling us. I've been your host with the most, the real Taylor Nicole. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, watching the show. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Show your girl some love. Turn on that notification bell so you get notified when a new episode is dropped and when anything is dropped on my platform at any given time. Argue with your mom, I'm out. Wow.